Am I cooking? That's the real question here. And this is
What
something
if
that a
you
lot of
will?
people feel like Bigatron does, right? Sometimes they're just a bit too creative in the drafts, you can say. So again, I do feel like look on the shoulder there. There could be better picks, or that pick could be utilized in better fashion. So let's see. Now that the turntables has happened, Vision Esports are the one at the first pick. So we'll wait and see. For Influence Rage after the Jawhead, are they gonna ban the gold laners again?
I think that's a natural thing that they would probably want to do. So with the Jawhead and Harif that's going to be taken out, I think that there are some of the other notable mentions that we should have been seeing all along. I think that we haven't exactly seen a lot of Lucas. We haven't seen... Okay, we did see the Juicid, but not being prioritized all of that much.
Yeah, the Sushin actually, with how brawly the games have been, you would think the Sushin would have more of a place right here. But yeah, teams are just looking for something a bit more direct. The Lantern Flare is great and all, it's spammable, but it doesn't really lift someone when you need to, right? Whereas the Kalia, the Cho, it really seems like all of these instant engage heroes are just getting so much more prio because all the teams just want to have that one moment of either to pick off someone or to flank someone, and they just can't afford to take their time with it.
Indeed. I mean, if we rewind back to the previous game, Light did use the title strike onto the Lord's Pit and then just flickered right in. And I think that absolutely caught Paquito completely off guard. I don't think that is something that you can react to at all. But
Not bad.
Wait a minute.
That's leaked! The fanny's leaked! MPLID had got 0% pick rate because it's 100% banned on Fanny, right?
I believe so. I don't think any team like would dabble with letting go of the Fanny, especially with the kind of Fanny players we have in ID. Mechanically, they're just insane, man. Fabian, I'm at the loss for names right now, but you get the point, right? They are really good Fanny players. And so Bigatron getting the Fanny for Annabelle, I wonder again if this is the plan for Influence Rage, or this is a mistake right here. Or they just like too concerned about the Lord, they forgot that the Fanny was in the picture because Bigatron banned it in game number 1.
Or are they just comfortable? I don't know, but back then when Fanny has been picked out a lot, because not a lot of people has been putting a lot of priority onto banning out the Fanny, one of the primary answers to dealing with Fanny has always been a Ruby. Ruby has got a very long animation for that for the comeback. Was it comeback wolf thing? It's a spinning one. Yeah. So at least there is a lingering hitbox. So it really deals with Fanny extremely well. But I don't think that this is the meta where you would want to play a Ruby into the EXP lane with all of the EXP lanes that is so dominant, such as, there we go, Ibadam.
Well, now Bigatron Esports looking to be in better shape right here, getting one of a signature pick for Eman, already a big W, getting the Badang that is still flex, but the Bigatron fan himself says he does not like Badang roam, so we're gonna assume it's gonna go to the EXP lane for now. But just like that, more pressure in the jungle, more playmaking from the EXP lane, and a stronger gold lane. All of the issues that might have caused the defeat in game number 1 so far has been amended quite well by Bigatron Esports.
Honestly, when it comes down to Bigatron Esports, maybe there was a bit of anti-synergy with one another if they are just banking all the way in for a single target. But this time, at least, they do have an amazing balance in between, right? They have the single targets coming in from Granger. They have the AoE control and damage from Fizz Break and Freeze Crack, while Fanny can quite literally just do anything that she wants, and she can single target, she can AoE, whatever that she wants. And in fact, probably play around with the walls that even Badang is able to bring through. So this combination of Badang plus the Fanny, it just gives you that infinite cables, or rather the infinite spins that you would absolutely love, as long as you're able to keep people within that small sea wall.
Right, the crater from the Fist Break. So there's a chance for that to backfire as well though if the Fanny kind of
The
gets
falling
stuck on
stars brought us
said
here.
wall.
Team
But
is
we'll have to wait and
ready.
see. For now, Big N
Let's
Esports have
go.
so much more flexibility.
Your team
Influence
is
Rage. Now they're the ones with the Hilda, so they're playing for that long range, but they're playing for that like early game aggression is what I'm saying. And so they can use the Hilda to scout, they can use the Cho to flank around. That's the theory so far at least. But unless they get some kind of crowd control, some more crowd control, I feel like Bigatron Esports can overwhelm them the same way that they overwhelmed Bigatron in game number 1.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you on that. Bigatron Alpha's crowd control capability is something that they could continue to bolster, especially since they have yet to pick up a roamer for themselves. In fact, if they kind of want to go for a Kalia, I'm totally open for that, but it's not something that allows you to get that dream play. And that dream play meaning
Hope will
Death
find a
Sonata
way.
plus
Your team
Fist
will
Break and
always
Fist
score
Crack
more.
plus a infinitely spinning Fanny. I think that we've got a lot of damage right from that. So if you're able to get a bit more of supportive capabilities from the mid lane while still being able to wave there perfectly well, plus another crowd control in the roam spot, I think that will be pretty nice. But AoE crowd control, who else can we be looking at? Is Tigreal something that we could still look at?
Tigreal. I think Tigreal can work depending on what they want to do right here. I was just focusing more on Influence Rage and their bans for the mid lane. I mean, that's a lot of bans to use for the mid lane. And, you know, Moreno is
Magic
kind of well known,
flows as
right? He
freely
was
as
the
the
PH
wind.
mukbanger, but he hasn't really been
Aurora?
showing anything too crazy. So I feel like that's a lot of respect to be giving to Bigatron Esports.
Now, of course, after looking at Influence Rage very specific ban onto Novaria, I would like to believe. I would like to imagine what exactly are they going for, right? They probably want to play something more on the conceal style. They want to be surprising on an aspect. They do not want to give a free vision control over to the sort of Bigatron Alpha. So there must be something that they are looking out for, Mage as well as Gold Lane. I think Claude could still be something that they're looking out for, since Novaria definitely will kind of call out where the Claude could possibly be in hiding.
When you
Right, if they
gaze
wanna,
into
they're
the
concerned
abyss,
about the long range, you know, the split push style, the high escape of the Claude, that could be a thing. But and Selena, out of nowhere. In theory, the Selena now has so much more mid control. But again, I think I've spoken about this to Lapel earlier. There's just so many things that have to go right for the Selena to
Oh.
have to be very effective. And
live
Bigatron
is to
going for the
trick the
Faramis, taking away the counter to the glue technically, and now it's just a full-on brawl comp.
Is that necessary though? Taking away that counter for the glue? The Selena has already been picked out. They don't have a gold lane. They don't have to force the Faramis. So the only answer that Bigatron Alpha is looking out for is they are hands-on just playing into the Ghost Bursters. That's number one. And number two, more survivability, understandably. Whenever you're looking at the Faramis, you want to survive. You want to be very committal with whatever that you're going for. And especially since most of these heroes from Bigatron Alpha, they are very close range. So as long as Faramis is able to keep up with all of these heroes,
Cosmic
their
blaze
one
will
lineup, I think
never
that they're
be
pretty okay.
extinguished.
Playing for the full-on dive IJ. So the Claude into the Faramis, it's a bit of an iffy matchup for sure. Now I think the way this is going to play out is that both teams are going to be looking for moments, right? But Bigatron Esports have more flexibility because they have the Fanny. They can kind of be more unpredictable. And then, worst comes to shove, they can still rely on the Netherrealm to just buy some time. Because the Selena, the Cho, the Hilda, these are all heroes that require a bit of time for the cooldowns to do more damage, right? The only person that can do continuous damage on the side of Influence Rage is the Claude. And I mean, Shuri was doing great earlier, but will that be enough right here against the Netherrealm on top of everything else?
Well, I would like to think that at least Netherrealm is neutralized by... I think you can only neutralize that Netherrealm with Blazing Duet. So I'm not too sure about this. I do want to see just how committal this lineup from Bigatron Alpha really is gonna be. and how deep they want to go in for these engagements, because their lineup just shows exactly that. They want to go in, and it's kind of like a go big or go home kind of competition.
Go big or go home indeed right here. So for game number 2 between Bigatron Esports and Influence Rage, let's see how this one plays out, man. With Eman having a signature pick, with the Fanny out of nowhere coming through. Killing spree Fanny, by the way. Gonna be a lot of damage. Eman though.
Oh, you're not gonna be running away from that. Oh, maybe not. Never mind, because Chan is not really focusing onto Eman at all. Paquito even had to spend a flicker just so that he will be able to stay around in the river lines a little bit longer, or maybe not. Straight out with a recall after using the flicker.
That's a lot of damage from Chan, by the way, if everything lands as intended, technically. So it is going to be a Badang roam, by the way, right? Luke is going to be on the glue. This used to be a signature pick, the Gluke. So all the backliners, the Claudin technically can be zoned out away later on by Luke just splitting all the way to the back line. And looking at the emblems here, there's definitely a lot more emphasis on movement, but look at Chan. Ooh.
Great amount of damage from Chan, or rather onto Chan, but not quite enough to really bring him down just yet. These small little pokes coming in from Bigatron Esports that were hoping that they will be able to get a bit more breathing space, especially since Objectives is about to come out.
Man, level 4 is going to be so important right here. Annabelle and Jotun has already reached it, but the rest of the team, look at the rotations here. Luke and Moreno are in the mid lane, so in theory, I think they want to have everyone level 4. They especially want Moreno to be level 4 to get a real edge in this fight. So for the side of Influence Rage, what are they going to do, man? Chan, what are they going to kind of zoned out?
Yeah, okay, so this is something a little bit different, right? Bigatron Alpha, they're focusing onto the turtle. They don't have anyone that's just kind of clearing up to the top lane, but hold on a second, we do have a little bit of a flicker, but unfortunately the fist break not going to be connected on anyone. Moreno hoping that he will be around away. Still level 3 though, so he does not have got his ultimate just yet. But in the meantime, we do have Luke that managed to push the rest of the members from Influence Rage away. No one has fell just yet. Maybe until now, Chan tried to bring Luke down right after the split ended.
Look at the HP bars, man. Influence Rage have the advantage. They're gonna take that first turtle. Bigatron, despite the fact that they were trying to get something. They started the fight with a flicker from Luke, and they tried to go and set Annabelle for an assassination mission. It just did not work out, and look at Annabelle getting saved by 3 members. Woo.
I don't think that it's gonna go down that easily. Moreno joins into the fray with a little bit of a no-clip through the wall, but that's not going to put him in a very dire situation. But Bigatron Alpha wants to fight back and take a little amount of damage on the turn, brings him down, while in the meantime, Annabelle immediately dove right underneath the first tier defense turret to follow up on a kill onto Fury.
Just like that in the mid lane, Winston's trying to kind of match the aggression, but Bigatron, they were decisive with that one. Especially because Paquito used his flicker to try and get the play earlier on that show. So right there, they know that they can punish, and they absolutely did.
Just once you get the opportunity, you would just run straight at it. That was a pretty good take coming in from Influence Rage as well. Immediately picking off that Paramis down in the middle lane, but that's not exactly a kill that allowed them to get a bit more breathing space, considering the fact that we're looking at a Paramis after all. He dies, and poof, he's on his back.
Hey, the passive is very, very convenient, man. Gives you more regeneration in lane. Also allows you to come back to lane faster. That's a Purify being already expended, though. Nothing for that just yet. So
okay.
Both teams, they're looking for small moments, but they're not really able to find like decisive pickups here because they don't really have a lot of big burst damage tools. Influence Reach has the Selena, but hasn't really been able to use it to its full potential.
Oh, Annabelle with a lot of cables onto himself, but luckily for him, there was no way of the dragon from Paquito. He's currently off cooldown, and he's gonna live to see another day.
That's some flashy moves there from Annabelle. He's trying to silence the doubters, because a lot of people have said that Annabelle on the Fanny ain't too crazy, ain't too special.
Ain't too crazy, okay.
Any pro player that can play Fanny, that's gonna be a menacing prospect to go up against. Now Bigatron setting up for the turtle. They have everything lined up here, including the Netherrealm. Let's see how they play this out as Monsters tries to go past them, but he's getting ignored.
A little bit of a dormancy from the side of NFL, but he would definitely want to look for the opportunity. Whale Dragon onto the side of Luke. While in the meantime, it is definitely going to be a lot of false health going on for the side of Bigatron Alpha. As such, Influence Rage does not even want to touch onto Bigatron Alpha. At this point in time, we do have the split that's just going to be right onto Paquito, pushing the rest of Influence Rage away from the turtle. But with all of that said and done, Yodun, he managed to get the turtle for himself. And that is absolutely great for Influence Rage, because even though they were completely fallen backwards, that was still a take on the objective.
There was a moment there where Annabelle was trying to go back and forth, and it seems like he didn't get the initial Nether Realm block, and he couldn't go back in for it. Oh, Blazing Duet, Eman!
Oh, Fury! He still managed to bring him on down, unfortunately, even when he managed to stay himself inside of the brushes, but he's slowly and eventually gotten the line of sight on him to bring him that sliver of health down.
Oh man, Influence Rage and putting on the tempo right there. Bigatron Esports, again, it seems like there's a bit of miscommunication, miscoordination in the middle of these fights. They're not really getting all the value moments they would like to have. Even when they sent Luke to zone up the whole backline, they didn't really get what they were looking for. Proper control, proper threat over the neutral objective. So they have to change their plans right here as Moreno barely survived.
This is a completely different game from what I expected, coming from the side of Influence Rage. He was hoping that it will be able to get that nice little stun down, but unfortunately, Yotun did not manage to get that. But regardless, that is a complete wave clear in the middle lane. Both teams completely dismissing each other off.
A great move for Influence Rage right now, because the Fanny early pressure has been somewhat neutralized. They've been able to weather the storm and only give him 2 kills. And Man on the Granger, right, one of Bigatron's win condition, he's still farming, but he's definitely a bit more behind compared to Fury. And if it's going to go down to a team fight situation again, you've seen what Fury can do. This, man, just small trades back and forth. Whoa, Chad!
Oh! Even expended a flicker for that one. Was hoping that it would be more than enough damage to deal with that. But I don't think that that's going to be the end of that showdown just yet, as we do have got another turtle that have spawned in the southern jungle, or rather the southern part of the land of Dawn. As such, Fury takes down the turtle, and now the rest of Influence Rage is looking to get a cop-out against Bigatron Alpha. As such, Annabelle was hoping to just jump right in. Doesn't enough projectiles? Not enough, unfortunately. But on the meantime, the main team fight, we do have a chance that manages to bring to get him taken down. Paquito's next one on the chopping block, as now Bigatron Alpha finally finds a way to chink in the armors of Influence Rage, and now they have a chance to fight back.
They just goofed up a bit too much there, and they get punished by Light, who found a great combo there, setting up for the whole team to just funnel through and do some damage, and allows Eman to finally get the space to go in, to go aggressively, and just take back that signature Granger pick. So Influence Rage has to respect the combo potential, man. Big team fight is exactly what Bigatron Esports are looking for in this point.
For a team that has got vision control using the Abyssal Trap, plus very high octane heroes such as the Claude as well as the Hilda, I think that Influence Rage is not really playing around the map well enough, because they have got control of the game. They have got advantages in this game, but they're not really expanding their lead far enough with the tools that were given to them. So unfortunately, I don't think that they can expand this lead that they have unless they continuously go out for fights over and over again. But that is always going to be on a more scary part, right? You are technically gambling for a battle and hoping that you would win when playing around the map, and playing macro will always guarantee you something a little bit better as long as you make very sound decisions with the Abyssal Trap that out.
Yeah, so I think the Abyssal Trap division game is something that Influence Rage hasn't been able to really use to its full potential, that's for sure. Bigatron Esports are still finding ways to kind of catch them off guard, and that really shouldn't be happening with monsters just scouting so much and Chan having ways to shut down the avenues of approach using those Abyssal Traps. Just like that, 1k gold advantage for this low take. Bigatron, I think, feel confident enough to actually contest here. Annabelle can rotate really fast on the fan.
They even have information. They have even managed to bait up Paquito. Oh! There we go! Light going over the freeze crack, and that is more than enough to push Paquito all the way away. way. And now when it comes down to the rest of the abilities from the side of Bigatron Alpha, they are just going to be putting themselves back a little bit more, pushing monsters right within of themselves, while Luke all the way in the backside. That is a 1-1 trade, at least when it comes down to the EXP laners. But Chan went in a little bit too far in. He was really hoping to get a kill down on Iman, but was not able to touch his hair. But never mind, Jotun! He came in, and he's a slippery, sly little fox. While Paquito joined back in with the Widow Dragon right underneath of the tier 1 turret, hoping to be able to get a kill down on the light and get himself an immediate ace. But that wasn't quite enough. At least, though, he managed to get down the tier 1 turret.
And Bigatron even hasn't recovered from that as well. The Lord is on the bottom side, unescorted. Influence Rage can take this opportunity to kind of clear this out. And just like that, after getting a great moment there where they're able to get that Lord in exchange for Annabelle, they were fighting out there. Let's take a look at the replay here. They were fighting here, right? With the light engaged on. And because the dive comes through, look at Annabelle. Ignoring everything, eyes on the Lord. Gets this. And afterwards, it's a great fight back from Bigatron Esports. They sacrificed Luke in the progress. They were able to get the kill on monsters. They're gonna get Chan here in a second as well. But afterwards, they just did not respect Influence Rage. They walked up to the pellet and immediately Jotun jumped on it. He saw that opportunity, got a multi-push and stun, and that was it, man. The Lord immediately neutralized by Influence Rage.
There was definitely a bit small little miscalculations coming in from both Bigatron Alpha and Influence Rage themselves, which kind of put them in very dire spots, right? It's supposed to be great, like especially for Chan. He calculated and thought that, okay, I can clip through this wall, but unfortunately the distance is just shy of the path a little bit. And furthermore, we also do have Fury that used his Blazing Duet a little bit more as a disengaged, kind of seen as though he wants to push the rest of the members from Bigatron Alpha away, because his main front lines got caught in that Fist Break plus Fish Crack combination. So if not now, then when? Because you can't expect to kind of hold back that Blazing Duet while the front line is dead. That's not what you want. But in the meantime, doesn't seem like we're going to be looking at yet another engagement. Paquito just managed to find a hit down on the slide. But unfortunately, there is no follow-up from the rest of Influence Rage, allowing Iman to actually pick up that kill. Annabelle joins in the frame once again, hoping to catch a kill down on monsters, but all the way up north. Influence Rage managed to pick one out of Bigatron Alpha, caught up onto Luke, and perhaps even him within of their breath.
I saw that Bigatron Esports are gonna maybe sacrifice Luke the same way, but they threw in light there for good measure. Now with two of the front liners down, Influence Rage has a window here to kind of force Bigatron Esports into a fight or into a 50-50. And I feel like they should and they can. They have tools available for it. So Bigatron, you're gonna have to go and make a risky play right here or concede.
Things that they might want to catch out, but Jordan is the one that's managed to get out the Lord. But unfortunately, the massive amount of damage coming in from Fury eventually melted down Annabelle before he could even manage to do anything at all.
Annabelle going for the 50-50 there. This wasn't available, and not to mention against the Suyo, right? The max missing HP advantage there. That's why the Suyo is just so good at securing the crucial objectives. Bigatron now with the Granger as their only long-distance sieging tool. You're gonna have to deal with this with the second Lord, and we have to see what the idea is. If they want to go for a zone, I feel like they have to ration it, right? If they want to send Luke, and keep light in the back, because Eman and Moreno are getting pressured, man. Chan and Monsters are diving in really, really deep, and technically they have more damage. You know, the Selena and the Hilda can do more damage than the Glue and the Badang.
All these little shots from the ring, something that you gotta have to really look out for. If whether the Abyssal Arrow eventually lands on someone or not is gonna be one of the main things that we should expect, right? Because now for the moment that one of them is caught, then you can pretty much expect someone will spring into action. Speaking of which, it's gonna be Chan, flickers himself away. He's gotta have to stay alive from all of that, and surprisingly he did. Paquito as well must have threw himself right in the faces of Bigatron Alpha just so the rest of his teammates could stay alive, but no! Bigatron Alpha has got way too much momentum onto themselves, plus the mobility. As such, that is gonna be Monsters down, followed by Paquito. Moreno somehow still within of the fight as he got killed down by Jordan. Jordan stayed around the vicinity, but shortly afterwards, you're not gonna stay alive from all of that. 3 of Bigatron Alpha will now jump themselves and collapse onto you. And let's not forget, we're talking about a Faramis. He's back already.
Man, the front to back play for Big Net Esports right there. To get the pick off initially onto Chan, or at least they tried to go on Chan. Luke even expanded the flicker there, and just like that, Influence Rage can do well when they are moving forward, when they're the aggressors, but on the back foot, they just don't have the same kind of staying power. And Big Net Esports are able to actually exploit that, but look at this. Whoa!
Huh?
That's a kick!
That's a kick! But
a kick.
There's no one around to follow up as such. I guess that is information. Maybe I'm not too sure about the objective of that kick though. I mean, yeah, low cooldowns, but Bigatron Alpha could very potentially just come in and they can take a lot of control of the map now just because of the fact that they know that they wouldn't be punished by the Royal Dragon anymore for the next 20 seconds.
Especially on the top side of being contested like this, you can see monsters already being in the way, trying to just zone and get information. The top lane needs to be cleared up by Big Esports, and it's pushing all the way to the base turret. So if they can clear it now, though, the wave is gonna be equal, but it's gonna meet on the side of Bigatron.
Yoden stole the purple buff away from the Fatty. The Fatty is unplayable now. And we are looking at a 16 minutes game and the Lord is available. So let's be honest here, Annabelle is gonna have a really tough time trying to take this Lord away. Number one, he doesn't have the purple buff. And number two, you're going up against a Suyo. Suyo is a beast when it comes down to taking down objectives. So Bigatron Alpha, are they gonna concede this?
You can see they're sticking around, they're using Eman to try and get info to try and poke them down, but needs to be careful. There's a bit too far in the front. Ooh, Lakers from everyone!
Yep, and that is gonna be Fury. They're just gonna be going right in on the backline. But wait, what was that? As Fury flickers backwards a little bit more. As such, he has wasted like 2 seconds of his blazing duet. Didn't really do too much from Bigatron Alpha, unless that was more of a flicker to get himself away from someone. We gotta have to get a closer look at what that flicker actually is. But regardless, it is still a pretty good game plan from Influence Rage because they gotten the Lord, and that is all they needed. Take the Lord and then retreat. We do not need to go to ham.
Big Net Esports were the one who tried to extend that fight even longer. They could have damaged their chance, getting chunked down by Eman. So the Granger is definitely online with the stacks he got. I believe it was 20 earlier on. Now with the 4 kills, probably closer to 50, 60? My math isn't all that good, but Influence Rage, I'm gonna find something more here.
Not sure whether they will be able to find anything. He does manage to see like a good stun on the Annabelle. Quickly pulls himself right all the way back. Takes the front lines, but take a look at all the way the back lines. Paquito was hoping that he'll be able to do a little bit more, but he's completely ignored by the rest of the members for the side of Bigatron Alpha. John gets himself all the way backwards. While in the meantime, Paquito slips his life away, but he does have immortality though, so he will be right back to the game. The Death Sonata didn't manage to touch him, but not quite enough to bring him down just yet. The 2 members down for the side of Bigatron Alpha, the rest of the members from the side of Bigatron Alpha will just want to continue onwards a little bit more. The split is connected down the monsters, brings him all the way back with the fist break and fist crack, just connecting down the monsters, bringing him down almost immediately for a 2-for-2 trade.
That was a long fight. That was an important fight as well. One single mistake and that would have been it for Bigatron Esports. But despite the fact that Eman got caught by Paquito, he was able to find him with the G-Kudo Aware of the Dragon. But afterwards, he switched items immediately and he was able to stay alive. 71 stacks on the Skypiercer, 950 stacks basically on his passive. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of stacks, man. This is only 19 minutes, and Eman has somehow been able to stack it in a ridiculous fashion. Honestly, Influence Rage, they made that decisive play right there. If it worked out, they would have won most likely, but it didn't, and that's, you know, that they're showing that they're willing to go for the risky moves to get that big reward.
And not to forget, they are also not too afraid of bringing the game all the way to the end game, right? 20 plus minutes. In fact, it's not 19 minutes, 30 seconds. They already have got an advantage in the middle lane as a natural pushing lane with all these mega creeps. So they're pretty okay. They're pretty fine. Top lane and the bottom lane will eventually get their way in as long as they get the Lord once again, which will be respawning in 15 seconds. Influence Rage have got all the tools in their utility belt, and all they gotta have to do is just wait for the middle lane to eventually push in, wait for someone to deal with the problem in the middle lane, and then tackle all the way.
Wait a minute.
Oh, there we go. Oh, wait, Flicker, as well as the Whale Dragon did manage to connect, but it did not manage to get the execution in. I admire that take, but unfortunately, this might be the downfall for Influence Rage. Fortunately, Light did not catch them, so they're A-okay.
Okay, both teams trade places there. Biggerton sends the whole cavalry to the bottom side, and now it's back to the waiting game. But that's a lot of resources used up by Influence Rage to try and get Annabelle. It's so weird that he got hit by 2 stuns, but he kind of moved while he was being stunned. This is the Fanny for you. Look at this, Paquito once again trying to be a nuisance. They know they cannot allow Biggerton Esports to go for a proper front to back. That is their win condition. So Influence Rage is trying to make it messy, make it confusing.
Oh, tough spot, but Paquito did manage to catch one person, and that is going to be live. He went straight in for the fist crack, but not quite enough to do any damage or crowd control at all. He's gonna go straight down. Fury did manage to find a pretty decent Whale Dragon, did find a very good blazing do it, but all in all, Influence Rage manages to take 2 person down, while Ivan really gonna have to back all the way off. He does have immortality though, but Influence Rage realizes, you know what, we don't have to push this anymore. We do have the Lord that we gotta have to focus on, and this is definitely something that that Influence Rage will have got for free.
Oh boy, Influence Rage, they're doing a great job playing for Fury. If you look at it, Fury is the only one that's really a big threat for Biggerton Esports. And because of that, it should be easy to deal with Influence Rage. Just shut down Fury. But the fact that they're able to find windows to try and find setups that allow Fury to just be so aggressive and do so much damage. They fought in the jungle there. They started off with Light getting kicked off with a Whale Dragon, and he was hitting him from behind the wall. It's gonna be a duel here though. Hang on a second.
I do think that Annabelle will be able to get away from this, no problem. But what was that, Paquito? He did hit the Whale Dragon though, but not quite enough for any form of follow-up whatsoever. But now let's remember that Monsters just picked up quite a bit of a deal, or rather quite a bit of item, which is a player that has that would be the surprise factor of what the healer is capable of bringing into this upcoming team fight. The bottom lane wave unfortunately has been completely melted down. The next one is going to be up all the way up to the top lane. Fury brings down the inhibitor turret whilst being taken down with a lot of damage. But unfortunately, Monsters threw himself right into the fray just so that the rest of his members from Influence Rage will be able to get away all fine and dandy.
Annabelle was on the hunt though, but he will not risk it just yet. That's a base card taken for Biggerton Esports, from Biggerton Esports, but fortunately it's on the side of the Lord. So you have to remember, the macro game isn't all worst case scenario. Influence Rage though, again, they just know exactly what they're going to go for, so they're doing the trade-offs really, really well. Like, we can trade Monster's Life for a base turret. We can trade Paquito for Eman. So it seems like they have all the calculations down. Look at that stun though.
Oh, 3-man knockup with Jacundo! While continuing forward, Light was hoping they will be able to do a little bit more when it comes down to the water, and everyone else on the side of Biggerton Alpha is just going to be pushing themselves right into Influence Rage. But unfortunately, quite a bit of immortality just going to be bringing them right back into the team fight, as now the only one that's taken down was Jodun, but Monsters were taken down a little bit while before.
That's a bold move by Influence Rage. They went on for a full-on team fight when they're 1 man down. We started that fight without Monsters, and it seemed like it was kind of close though. So Biggerton Esports have to be a bit careful about that. And Fury maybe want to be a bit more tentative with the Winter Crowns, because he's been going in for this Blazing Duet Winter Crown combo. But at the same time, some of these fights, Biggerton Esports are focusing on other members, not him. So at this point, right, every single item, every single skill usage needs to be calculated. But what is this fight? What are we looking at?
This is not the wet noodle fight that we would ever be expecting, but the Blade of the Haptoses from Monsters really packed a lot of punch onto a paper-thin Fanny from the side of the Annabelle.
The wave on the bottom side now, in theory, is pushing for Influence Rage though. And again, with the Selena, you never know, right? One big stun can swing the whole game around. But right now, it's still the waiting game. They want to know where Annabelle is before they make any big decisions right here. And it's going to be around. And the purple buff is up. If Influence Reach can kind of pressure the purple buff, force Annabelle to use the Retribution, this could be an angle for a Guaranteed Lord.
Currently down to half HP. Bigatron Alpha, they really want to contest for this and hope that they will be able to steal this lot away, but unfortunately Yotun still got a lot again and again and again, and not only that, Luke is gonna be finding himself taken down as well. This is the grand opportunity for Influence Rage to walk all the way down in from the middle lane with the Lord and with the lack and the absence of Luke.
53 seconds until Luke is back on track. No one aside from him, I believe, can take the Abyssal Arrow and live long enough to tell the tale. So, Bigatron Esports have to defend without the frontliner, with everyone having their eyes on Eman. Let's see how this goes as the Lord comes through. Conceal. Not popping.
Abyssal Arrow unfortunately misses out, but the crazy amount of damage from Yodun is just going to be pushing the Iman all the way backwards. But everyone else from Influence Rage focuses onto the core! That is the Brazil Influence Rage that takes a 2-0 victory onto Bigatron Alpha.
That is an